Welcome back to day 3 of our watercolor fruit series. Today we are painting a juicy slice of watermelon, bright, refreshing and full of vibrant color. It's the perfect way to bring a burst of summer to your sketchbook. For paints, I'm going to use the Daler-Rowney Aquafine 48 half pan set. This set has a beautiful collection of shades to paint all kinds of watercolor subjects. The set also comes with a size 4 round brush, which is a perfect size to get started with painting. Today we are going to use a couple of shades of reds and a few greens such as sap green, olive green and hooker's green. For exact shade names, please check description box below, where I've also shared a link to this set. For brushes, I'm going to use the Princeton Velvet Touch round brush series in sizes 6 and 4 to paint larger areas, and long round 4 and 1 for detailing. For mixing paints, I'm going to use some ceramic palettes that I have handy with me, but you can also use the mixing tray of your palette. For paper, I'm going to use the Canson XL watercolor paper, which is 140 pounds and it is in the size 9 by 12. I have cut down these sheets into smaller sizes to use them for painting the fruits. The paper has a beautiful texture and I absolutely love it for layering and wet on wet watercolor techniques. To clean my brushes, I'm going to use a tissue paper or a kitchen towel. We are also going to need 2 cups of clean water to rinse our brushes and to apply layers of clean water wherever we are going to do some wet on wet techniques. We are also going to need a pencil and an eraser for sketching purposes, and a masking tape if you are using a loose sheet of paper like me to tape down your paper and hold it firmly, but this is completely optional. Before we start painting, here's a look at the basic sketch I'm working with. It's a simple triangular slice with a curved base to suggest that juicy watermelon shape. Feel free to pause the video and use this as a reference to sketch your own. Keeping the lines light and minimal helps the paint shine through later. I'm starting out by mixing 2 shades of red in my palette. I'm using cadmium red and alizarin crimson for that. The paints should be runny and flowing so we can blend them easily on the wet surface. Once the red paint is ready, start applying a layer of clean water onto the front surface of the watermelon slice, leaving some part as it is at the bottom. We will come back to it later when we paint the rind portion. Also, we will paint the side angle of the slice later once we are done painting the front portion. Then I'm going to drop some red paint on the top portion of the slice and allow it to start spreading in the downward direction. You can dab some extra paint along the surface and gently help it to move around. We are going to work this way a couple of times as we build layers and do some shading using darker shades of red paint and water droplets. This is a perfect example of wet on wet technique, and you will realize how fun it is to let the paint move around by simply gliding the moist brush gently. There is no right or wrong to do this shading. Just go slow and see how you can paint the slice without losing the transparency of the paint and water. We will keep the portion near the rind a lot lighter. I'm trying to lift off some color using a clean moist brush and making sure that not a lot of red color is spreading towards the bottom area. So go slow near the bottom area as you lift some paint off. And then I'm going to dot in a darker pigment again without diluting it too much with water. You can mix fresh paint again if you're running short. I'm also making some swirls with my brush to create nice texture on the slice. And then I've mixed just a hint of brown to my crimson to get a deeper shade, and I'm going to gently dab it in some areas and blend in. And now comes the fun part. I'm going to dip my brush in clean water and simply drop some water droplets onto the surface to create water blooms that create beautiful airy texture. Allow the water to spread the way it wants. Again, we will make sure the area near the bottom is light, and I continue to drop some water droplets on the surface, and as you can see, it's creating a beautiful texture. I'm just making these swirls again with my brush to help the water move a bit. At all times, I'm making sure to lift off the excess pigment that is trying to run towards the bottom edge. I dotted in some more of the darker pigment, and then I'm going to use a small piece of tissue ball to intentionally dab some paint from the surface to create translucent texture. So here's the tissue ball. I just store a small piece of tissue and I'm dabbing off the paint in some areas. This is my favorite part, and it adds a certain level of depth and dimension to your watermelon slice. We certainly don't want the surface to look flat. Now let's go ahead and paint the rind of the watermelon. For that, I'm going to move my paper and use a size 4 round brush. Mix some sap green onto your palette and keep it ready. Then, using a clean wet brush, moisten the bottom area and drop in the green color. Allow the green color to diffuse and spread softly in the area. Gently merge the green wash into the fruit and then drop in a slightly darker shade. Blend everything nicely. Then I'm switching to a size 1 round brush and darkening the edge slightly once again. Now let's go ahead and paint the side portion of the watermelon slice. We will paint it the same way we painted the front portion by first applying a layer of water and then blending in the red color for shading and layering. While painting this part, you will see me leaving a very soft white cap so that it just softly touches the front portion. The white cap acts as a highlight and gives the slice a bit of depth and dimension. As I come down, I switch to the green color and paint the rind portion to match the front portion. And then I'm dropping in some water droplets on the red portion to create the texture and also a darker pigment of red near the top and the side portion of the slice. Don't move your brush too much, just do some dotting. And now we come to the very lower portion of the rind. Apply a layer of clean water on the bottom portion and then drop in a slightly less runny concentrated green pigment in sections and then softly merge everything together for added texture and look of the rind. I'm using a slightly fresher looking green mix to do the base portion of the rind. Once you feel okay about the blending, take a step back and wait for everything to dry. And now comes the final step to add seeds on the watermelon. I'm mixing some brown and black paint onto my palette that has a slightly thicker consistency. And then using my size 4 long round brush, I'm going to draw teardrop shaped seeds on the surface of the watermelon. Keep the seeds slightly imperfect and space them apart, adding just a few of them. And that's our watermelon slice fresh off the page. Removing the tape is like the final brush stroke. It really brings the whole painting together. I hope you had fun painting along with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the rest of the fruity watercolor series. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next fruit video. Happy painting!